Finance Ministry officials say the dreaded NSRL won't meet its expected target. That's our top story in our Barbados Today morning news update for Friday, November the 24th. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. A mere month after Minister of Finance Chris Sinclair publicly boasted of the performance of the controversial National Social Responsibility Levy, it seems the dreaded NSRL is not meeting its revenue targets. In the draft Barbados Sustainable Recovery Plan 2017, a copy of which was obtained by Barbados Today ahead of its tabling in Parliament next month, officials in the Ministry of Finance who prepared the document following consultations with the social partnership have suggested that the burdensome tax was now likely to perform weaker than earlier expected. In addition, the document warns that the lower than expected revenues would affect government's overall chances of achieving its fiscal targets, a similar caution to that given by the International Monetary Fund Wednesday in its latest Barbados Economic Assessment following the annual Article 4 consultation. It was back in October that Sinclair revealed in Parliament that the NSRL, which was increased from 2 to 10% on July the 1st, had raked in $50 million in the first 3 months. Owners of commercial lands around Chefette Restaurant in Lancaster, St. James will have those lands taken back by a Barbados Labour Party administration. The landowners were put on notice yesterday by Chairman of the Opposition BLP and MP for St. Andrew George Payne during a walk through a Whitehill in his constituency, whose residents are to be relocated due to land slippage. Payne said the lands around Chefette were now being sold to friends of the ruling Democratic Labour Party, but under a BLP government would go back to the original purpose of relocating residents of Whitehill.
And I'm going to warn all of those persons who are from the Democratic Labour Party now who are buying lands around Chefette. I hope that I have the next Prime Minister's blessing on this. Those lands we will acquire. We will acquire those lands and they will go back to the rightful owners. Because we acquired those lands for the people in Whitehill, for the people who have been affected by land slippage, and those lands will go to those persons. There's no provision with respect to the acquisition of lands having to go to Parliament. There's no similar provision whereby when you acquire those lands and they go to the Ministry of Housing for that land to come back to Parliament to vest in national housing. So under the table, what we're having now is that land is passing under the table to the friends of the Democratic Labour Party.
Barbadians and visitors alike are being warned that they may have to stomach the recurring sewage stench along the south coast for a while longer. Minister of Water Resource Management, Dr. David Estwick, issued the warning Wednesday in response to persistent complaints from residents and business operators in the area that the sporadic problem of raw sewage overflowing into the streets was simply not going away and was ruining their lives. However, Estwick warned that there could be no permanent relief until a modern treatment plant is built, even though he could not say definitely when the situation will be fully remedied.
My personal position is that we will do a stopgap measure, but what we need is to build a modern facility that will carry us for the next 40-50 years, and let that facility be of the highest technology of the period. And one of the things that I want to ensure that does not occur is that we are not going to waste our effluent out in the ocean. We are going to move that plant to tertiary facility, and once it is tertiary, it means that you have essentially water quality drinking standards, and we are going to have that water, instead of being sent out to the ocean to feed the fish, will come back in and recharge the aquifers, which will help me to mitigate our drought challenges, especially during our periods of drought, which we expect to come very soon.
The Luther Thorne Primary School, which shuts down early Wednesday and yesterday due to environmental problems, will remain closed today. The Ministry of Education says the decision is to allow for the cleanup of the school. The school will reopen on Monday.
There's regional and international news after this short break. Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. A regional structural expert is warning that Dominica will not recover from the recent devastation by Hurricane Maria if it doesn't get international help. President of Instruct-E, Shalina Jagnarin Azan, says the losses and negative impact from Maria have hampered Dominica's economic growth, development, and the poverty levels.
That means that the GDP for this year, of course, is not going to be $585 million, nor will it be that for 2018. The total needs and recovery for Dominica is estimated at $1.3 billion US. Without international aid, they will not recover. And given that we have climate change, because you showed that slide and you were wondering if really the frequency is going to increase, climate change is scientifically proven to show that our region will sustain higher number of high-frequency storm and hurricane events. So whereas in the past we would have seen one Category 4 hurricane for the year, or maybe one Category 5 every 2 years, we may start seeing 2 or 3 in the same 12-month period.
On the global front now, Emerson Mnangagwa is being sworn in today as Zimbabwe's president, following the dramatic departure of Robert Mugabe after 37 years of authoritarian rule. Ahead of the ceremony at the 60,000 capacity National Sports Stadium in the capital Harare, Mnangagwa has urged Zimbabweans to remain patient and peaceful and desist from any form of vengeful retribution. But opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai is calling for a change in the culture of violence and corruption with the ruling ZANU-PF, of which the new president was a part.
You can't be seen to be perpetuating Mugabe's legacy, both in terms of culture and in terms of practice. Unfortunately, we know Emerson as somebody who has sustained this regime by foul means, and he has to move away from that and build his own legacy.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.